So we begin our first technical session, Journey Towards Long-Term and Measurable Social Impact. Moderator for this session is Mr. Shulkat Basu, CEO of Consultivo. Joining us on this session, Mr. Ashwini Saxena. He will be joining virtually. He is the CEO of GSW Foundation. Dr. Shubhranshu Shannal, CEO of IIM Calcutta Innovation Park. Dr. Amit Kumar Thakur, Head CSR and Senior Fellow of TEDI. Mr. Nixon Joseph, CEO of CLT India. Mr. Anurak Pratap, Senior Director and Head CSR of Capgemini Technology Services India Limited. Dr. Anurag Priyadarshi, Director Sustainability of Tata Consumer Products Limited. He will also be joining virtually. So may I request the speakers to kindly take your seats on the dais so that we can commence the session. Virtual speakers may kindly be linked up now.
A very good morning to all the people who are attending the session. And on behalf of ICC, Indian Chamber of Commerce, I welcome all to this summit and award session for social impact. This is a very unique event, which is getting a lot of appreciation from the industry and the stakeholders on the social impact area. And here today, we will start the session with a technical one. The first technical session will be here for next 1.5 hours. And myself, Shulkat Basu, I will be coordinating the whole session as a moderator. And with me, the galaxy of knowledges are here, the doyens of the industry. Let me share our let me share the names who are having the session today. Mr. Ashwini Saxena, he is joining virtually. Mr. Saxena, can you hear us, sir? Okay, fine. And then Dr. Subhrang, he is the CEO, JSW Foundation. Dr. Subhrangshu Sanyal, he is the CEO, I Am Calcutta Innovation Park. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Dr. Amit Kumar Thakur, Head CSR and Senior Fellow, TERI. Sir, thank you for joining us. Mr. Nixon Joseph, CEO, CLT India. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Mr. Anurag Pratap, he is the Senior Director and Head CSR, Capgemini Technology Services India Limited. He will be joining soon physically. And Dr. Anurag Priyadarshi, he will be joining virtually, Director Sustainability, Tata Consumer Products Limited. Dr. Anurag Priyadarshi, are you here? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anurag, for joining us. Our session today, the theme of the session is Journey Towards Long-Term and Measurable Social Impact. So actually, there are three key points in this session. One is social impact, obviously. Second is long-term. And third is measurable. So we all know if something is not measurable, then life becomes miserable. So these are the three things, long-term, measurable, and social impact. With this central theme, we'll start our discussion. And we are, Mr. Ashwini Saxena, once he joins, just let me know so that we can start with Dr. Subhrangshu Sanyal. Dr. Sanyal, without wasting any time, let's start from your views, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Basu. Good morning, everybody. First of all, thanks to ICC for providing me this opportunity once again to experience this Social Impact Awards, primarily because I get to learn so much from that. So this year, I believe there are around 60 projects which were submitted. And once we were going through the presentations, there's so much work that has been happening, which I got to know. Wonderful impact stories. So it's a very enriching experience for me personally. So thank you, ICC, for providing me that opportunity to learn. So many passionate people, difficult work, and really, something which is commendable. Just quick 2 minutes on what I do. So I work with IIM Calcutta Innovation Park. So this is a baby of Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, which focuses on promoting entrepreneurship and innovation. Our focus is supporting social enterprises right from a very early stage innovation when they have developed, support them, handhold them, and take those innovation to the market so that those innovations impact the life of common people. So this is the mission that we have. So far we have supported more than 500 such innovators, helped them grow, sustain. Some of them, even you'll be happy to hear, have raised capital funds, like it's an entire life cycle we have experienced. Now coming to this point, the topic for today, social impact, innovation and all. I would like to utilize this forum to raise a few questions, some thoughts that I have, which probably would help all of us long term. So if I look at the 60 projects that we received and evaluated. Yeah, definitely the kind of work, the effort by all the stakeholders, that includes the corporate, the implementers, the NGOs, the various partners. Definitely that's worth mentioning and commendable. And definitely there are some impact numbers also, which has which we got. But now, if I look at the, let's say, last 10 years, so this kind of initiatives are happening for last 10 years or more, and we have been observing similar projects happening, right? But if I ask you the question, what is the bigger impact in terms of a country? What is the bigger impact? So there is an indicator called Human Development Index, HDI, right? Which is the indicator of quality of life, quality of health, in terms of your income, education, various basic indicators. Last 10 years, India has not moved much. I think out of 189 countries, our rank is 131 last year. And over the last 10 years, it has not moved much. +2, -2, like that. So if so much work is happening, so much effort is being put, so much money is getting invested, why the needle is not moving? I think this is a question we should all ask ourselves, right? That means there is something wrong, or there is some big gap in the basics. And unless that is fixed, with so much passion, we are putting so much effort, that is not really creating much impact. We might have PowerPoints to show we have made a lot of impact, but those indicators tell us it is not helping our country much. So I think this is the first thought I would like to share with all of you and trigger that thought process also. That why is it so? What is the root cause for this, and how we can make a difference? Next, again, the projects, I'll talk about the projects that we have seen this year. Last year also similar experience. Again, wonderful work. But some of the key questions that come to my mind is that, how do we scale up this impact? If some good work has happened in a village or in a pocket, how do we replicate it across the country? How do we sustain that project, first of all? Once the financial support is withdrawn, will the project survive? Okay. In most of the cases, the answer is no. How do I take it to, if it's happening in one district, how can I take it to all districts or various states without multiplying the same amount of fund? Very few projects have that potential. So that means there is a fundamental issue in the thought process, how we are designing the work. Is it that we are doing a checkbox activity, we need to do it, we are doing it? I'll give another example, which shows that if we want, we can do it. COVID. COVID is a wonderful example how the entire country took up the challenge. And whatever we have achieved, while we are combating COVID, I think it's extremely commendable. If you look at some of the developed nations, they didn't achieve what we could achieve. And how did it happen? I think the one word that comes to my mind is innovation. We thought that depending on the developed nations to support us is not an option, because they are also struggling to fight COVID, right? So when you have a point of no return, then you start thinking what we can do. And this exactly happened during COVID. And look at the innovations we did. We developed our own vaccine. In normal times, can you imagine that we develop our own vaccine? The easiest way is to go back, purchase the license and just manufacturing it here, right? When we saw there is no other option, that's the only option to survive, we put our head together and we developed the vaccine. We developed world-class ventilator in 90 days. I don't think anywhere in the world it has happened. A group of IIT Kanpur innovators, young fellows, and a group of entrepreneurs supported by the government, they all work together. How can India develop these world-class ventilators? Because again, the same challenge, you are not getting supply of ventilators from outside. So your back is against the wall. And this triggered the innovation. Even at the grassroots level, artisans didn't have work, right? They got orders, but then suddenly lockdown, they couldn't deliver the orders. I know a company called Brahmaputra Fables. They got a big, huge order of gamusa. You know, gamusa is the traditional, thing that they wear in Assam. But they couldn't deliver it. It was lying there. They said, okay, let us use the same pattern, same design to make face masks. Initially, face masks were all getting imported from China. Then it all stopped because we are manufacturing. Sanitizers, we are manufacturing. It scaled up. It supported 130 crore people. I don't think any other country in the world would have imagined that this is possible. And this is only because innovation. Now, I'm sure if another such crisis comes from wherever, India is much better prepared now. Building materials, we needed ICUs to be prepared. There are innovation in building material. In 7 days flat, you have ICUs being prepared. I have enough stories. So this proves that there is a potential which we are not tapping. That is the potential of innovation. We all know about the startup movement, right? Which started 10 years back. Initially, there were a lot of skeptics, a lot of criticism, but look what it has happened, what it has done. Now, India's rank in Global Innovation Index is 46 from nowhere. India is the unicorn, people are calling India as the unicorn country. From nowhere, we are number 3 in terms of unicorns. We have 90 unicorns. Last year only we have 40 unicorns. And every month we are having 1 unicorn. So who are these unicorns? The billion-dollar valuation company. Can you imagine that we could have produced unicorns in such a high pace? And who are these unicorns? How are they, how they become unicorns? Just because they brought or they tried a new way of doing things. So in 5 years' time, companies are becoming unicorns. Disruption. I think it's time we need disruption in the social impact space. We have not seen that disruption. And the only way it can happen is a new thought process, which is innovation. So I'll end my speech with this appeal to all of you that instead of calling social impact, can we call it social innovation? Can we call it a social innovation challenge? Because I firmly believe if you innovate, impact is an automatic outcome of that. Because innovation will make it sustainable and scalable. If the 60 projects we have created 10 lakh impact, can you take the challenge next year with the same 60 projects, will create 10 crore impact, and that will be sustainable and growing without much additional input of funding. It is very much possible. India has proven it during crisis times. So with that call, I would like to end my speech that let us usher the new era of social innovation, different kind of thought process. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanyal. Thank you so much for your views. In fact, he raised a very important point that what is the bigger impact, and raised a very important question that what about HDI? We are doing so many things, but why our HDI is not moving up? Why it is static? So along with the problem, he also came out with a solution, and solution is innovation. And if we do a particular thing in a similar way, possibly we'll get the similar output. Otherwise, there is no option to get some different output. So innovation is the only area where we can work a lot. So I request to have few questions quickly to Dr. Sanyal, if you have. You can just raise your hand if you have some question, please, sir.
Dr. Sanyal, it was a very intriguing and very nice thoughts what you have put. That innovation, if we do innovation, impact will come. So just a brief introduction about myself. I am Sanjeev Goyal and I am from ITC. So till last year, I was in the procurement space, and last 1 year only I'm in the impact space. What I found is that the collaboration is missing. So maybe the next participants or whoever are speaking, if they can make a pitch to all the people that it is very much essential that collaboration is necessary in this space. Everyone is trying to create that, but then we don't want to collaborate. So somewhere, if we can bring the collaboration along with innovation, I think that 10 crore is definitely possible. Thanks, Dr. Sanyal.
So this is one point which I've noted down. I didn't speak about it because I was running out of time. Wonderful point. And this is again part of the whole solution, that why we duplicate our effort, right? Why we, unnecessarily, that is the reason we are not achieving economies of scale, the term we use in our industrial scenario, right? So I think industry, academia, and government, this triangle we call it, right? This needs to be mobilized, and I can't agree more with your comments. Thank you.
Yeah. So the important is ecosystem, the entire ecosystem, collaboration across the ecosystem, and innovation. So these two are the possible solutions for the challenges. So how that can be done, we'll discuss more. I think in the meantime, Mr. Ashwini Saxena has joined. Sir, Mr. Saxena, have you joined? Okay, great. Great to see you. Very good morning, sir. Can you hear us? Very good morning, Mr. Saxena. Mr. Saxena, can you hear us, sir?
I can hear you. I'm so sorry. I think there's something wrong with the video streaming, but I'm certainly there.
Okay, so nice. We can hear you now. Sir, if you can quickly share your views on the theme, please, sir. Can you hear us, sir? We cannot hear you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Hello.
Please. Yeah.
Harikat, I missed you. You said something. I just missed you out. Can you please? I think I'm losing you out once in a while. Can you just repeat? I missed out your question. I'm so sorry.
Mr. Saxena, our central theme of today's session, is long-term and measurable social impact. So, and it's a journey. And during this journey, we also talked about so far about innovation and collaboration. So can we have your quick views on this particular area, sir?
Thank you. I'm sorry, the sound is crackled, but whatever I could understand from you is, Saikat, you're talking about developmental journey, and you talked about, I think, how collaboration perhaps can foster this. So
true.
I think this is a I would say this is a bare fundamental pillar for any developmental process, because when we define development, you cannot be defining development from a one single perspective. You cannot be defining development from a single pair of eyes. Therefore, development is a more all-encompassing concept, which has to be understood in an equal sense by everyone. And that is why a whole range of stakeholders should be co-owning what we finally define as development. So development, what comes to me in my mind, should be equally understood in the same manner by you as well. So therefore, by default, development as a process, development as a journey, cannot be having one single lone traveler on that path. It requires collaboration. Perhaps is the only way of doing development. I mean, if we look at the history of whatever achievements have happened in our country in the human development journey, it has all happened because of collaboration. It has all happened because of commingling of ideas. It has always happened because of commingling of resources. It has happened because of being complementary, roles and responsibilities that we have all shared in a society. So development per se as a process or as a final objective cannot be achieved without collaboration.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for your views. Can we ask you a question on this area, that measurable, how measurable parameters are important in the space of social impact?
Fair enough. So I'll try to go back to my days when I was working on cluster development in Unido, and we used to use a very simple methodology, which I think still holds good. And we used to work on a concept which was about enhancing social capital, and by enhancement of social capital, looking at how it can create leveraging, how it can create opportunities in the economic space, in the social space, etc. And our work was around working with industry associations and seeing how those industry associations can be turned around, because they essentially tend to play a role of being a lobbyist, but from that lobbyist role to turn into a development institution, which can provide services to its membership base. How that transition can happen, that we used to measure it through I would say a tool. It was part, I would say, quasi-objective, quasi-subjective. But the idea was very simple, that this is an association which is at stage 1, and you document that, what are the indicators of that. The indicators being that the office is the way the office operates, the amount of meetings that happen in a particular year, the kind of discourse that happens in those meetings, the kind of agenda that is taken up by the association, what kind of activities it is involved into. Are these activities short-term in nature or they are long-term in nature? Are those activities looking at collaborative opportunities within the members or not? Are these associations working closely with other similar kind of associations or associations with a similar kind of a mandate? Are they moving in that direction or not? Because, as I said, development is a process which cannot be done singularly or single-handedly. It has to have a whole range of stakeholders coming together. So during the entire project journey, we used to map every single association or whatever membership-based organization that I'm talking of on a scale of 1:10, and we used to have very clearly defined indicators. That 1 means hardly the office opens in terms of its basic management, 2, hardly any meetings are happening. So a whole range of indicators which will talk about the mandate that it has set for itself, the kind of activities it is involved, the amount of involvement of the members themselves, how effectively the office bearers are functioning and the office is functioning. And this would always be measured on the basis of how amount of activities have been taken up, how much funds have been leveraged by them, have they been applying to government schemes, have they been taking up long-term programs for the benefit of the members, so on and so forth. So you could very clearly, in an objective manner, but using qualitative indicators, measure very clearly whether the association has moved from level 1 to level 10 in certain areas or not. And therefore, at the end of the project, that what has been the shift, in terms of their growth, and what is the future plan that they need to have in their minds. So whether they have been energized as an association or not. So this is just one example by which you can actually measure social cohesion, social impact at an institutional level. And then, of course, there are various tools of doing perception studies and people's PRAs and all, to assess whether people are themselves owning up the process of development. Are they realizing the social impact or not? Are they understanding the social impact in the same manner or not?
Right, sir. Thank you so much. Can we have some quick questions? Maybe one quick question for Mr. Saxena. Do you have any question? Okay. So, sir, thank you so much for the clarity of your thoughts. And with your permission, may we move to the next speaker?
Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, my tardiness to, Nixon, Anurag, everybody whom I can see there. The other 2 colleagues of mine, I can't read their names from here. I can identify Nixon quite vividly. So my apologies to you for being a little late. something inadvertent happened. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We will move to the next speaker now, Dr. Thakur, Dr. Amit Kumar Thakur. He is the head CSR and senior fellow TERI. Sir, may I request you to share your views?
Thank you very much. In fact, I want to have this in a way interacting with you. In fact, you are the pillars of CSR agenda in this country, and the way CSR has flourished, in fact, over these 8 years, I would say, from 2013 when the law was placed before each one of us, and 2014 it was actually, it became a law. So over these 8 years, a lot of things have happened. Initially CSR was very unstructured, and unstructured in the sense that nothing was very clear. So something was happening in one organization, so the employees were not knowing. Also something was happening in other organization, things were not very clear. So what has happened over the year, and in step-by-step process, it has become more structured. And we must appreciate the effort of Government of India in this sense, who took a big thought process that yes, CSR means something. We have to think about the society, and there has to be some structural mechanism to reach to the society. So as you know, I know, and all know, Section 135 and Schedule 7 are in place, and that is revisited again and again by government also, because government makes the law, and again the corporates have to abide by it, the NGOs have to abide by it, and again these are the set of stakeholders. So what has happened over the years, what I have very closely watched, that it has grown and developed, and what it has further given, in fact, that 20,000 annual fund is available, 20,000 companies are eligible, though it is increasing further, and it has given huge space to the social ecosystem in this country. So my congratulations to each of the stakeholders who are part of this. It has created new jobs also in this country, because when we look at the entire framework of CSR in India, we see that in fact in just 20,000 companies, earlier this function was not there. Now in fact average 5 people are there, so there are more than 1.5 direct 1.5 lakhs, in fact, direct officers, professionals are involved in designing, planning and execution of CSR programs in India, and that is led by the highest level in the organization. Now it's not only being decided at the lowest level, it's a board level function now, and there's very close monitoring of each of the activities. And monitoring means there is a penal provision also. In fact, we have come up with various papers, research papers, knowledge report with ICC also on CSR during the COVID times. So it goes to show that CSR is huge, it's going to scale up. We all need to be more disciplined in terms of 3 things. One, in terms of the designing the projects, in terms of having a long-term view for programs, and then seeing that what type of intermittent outcome it can have and long-term impact. So with these words to start with, I have a brief presentation with you. I'll try to capture your mind, and then I'll try to seek your inputs, so that the larger concept of CSR, sustainability, sustainable development goals, ESG framework, and where it will lead to. Because there is a lot of space for improvement in this CSR sector. It's not about only spending and coming out of it. There are a lot of space also, dimension also, which we need to look at. We at TERI, in fact, do a lot of work on CSR, from research, consulting, implementation, and we are very lucky, in fact, to work with so many corporates, and we suggest so many solutions to them. So based on those experiences and learnings, I would say that there is a huge space for improvement and scope for improvement, the projects that you are doing. So I'll discuss with you one by one in context to CSR, but I'll bring the global dimension also, so that there is a holistic understanding of the concept. So I'll just go through the PPT one by one, and then I'll open up the stage for discussion, so there is more engagement with each one of you. So in fact, in terms of sustainability, it's very categorically said that, corporates striving and achieving these SDGs would lead to sustainability. There have been several definitions, several conferences, several type of definitions which have come across from the global world. So everyone, now it's not a buzzword. It was a buzzword 20 years before, but now it's one of the core functions. But again, sustainability is something which everyone aspires to achieve, but a lot of functions need to be, implied to achieve the sustainability goals. Now we are in the SDG stage where 2030 agenda is there. There are 17 goals. Two of the major goals I would take in context to CSR, the climate change aspect, and one is the responsible consumption and production. Because now we're talking more about the circular economy, the economy where, recycle, reuse part has to be there, and one has to see that whatever product is consumed, it is not coming from the air, it is being produced on ground, on soil, and therefore we all have the responsibility to see that, each of the product, each of the food we consume should be consumed in a manner in which, as per the requirement, as per the need. There's lot of wastage. The global data says that a lot of food is wasted, and that leading the also that is leading to wastage also. So in our projects, we need to see that how we can always in a population challenge, resources have not happened designed by such a manner that the need of the population can be even it is very said right now that soil and we don't manage it properly in the coming 40 years, that can also launch. Then where would we use the food crops that we grow on. Second, climate action, because climate is changing. As we all know that there have been several frameworks on climate, and climate is changing in a very fast manner, and it's impacting all forms of life. It's affecting water, agriculture, health, hygiene, every area is being impacted strongly. So we need to see that what role CSR projects can play. CSR projects at a very conception stage, from designing part, can address climate resilient infrastructures. It can have the mitigation strategies in place. It can have the adaptation solutions in place. If we design it in our project, even if we achieve 30-40% of those through CSR, that is the way forward, and that would address a lot of climate goals and the SDG goals. So in the latest recent event that our Prime Minister had at Terry, he suggested, in fact, along with various ministers and Prime Ministers of other countries, that climate problem is not created by nature. It's the human-induced problem, and we need to rectify that. He also suggested that India is growing, India will keep growing, and there has to be justice to it. And the justice, in fact, the developed country can't, force India to change its strategy. India is already achieving all the goals, and India will achieve all the goals, but it will keep at the forefront the development of the nation. So these two aspects are there. Other goals of the SDG, of the 17 goals, are also interlinked with CSR. So when you talk about sustainability and the SDGs, we have to see in our projects also that are we have such technology which are minimally impacting the environment? Are we trying to see that the projects are replicable in nature? Are the projects as such that which are designed in such a manner has low maintenance part, and such projects can be scalable? Is the need assessment properly done? So all those things related to climate, environment need to be thought of at the very initial stage. So people, planet, profit, these are the goals. Here only lies the entire mantra, and we have to be very, bearable with us also in terms of thinking about the end user of this country. He is not polluting. People at the high end, they are using more resources. Like the developed nations are using more resources, and the developing countries are, getting impacted. So when we design projects at the highest level, then you have to see that who is at the lowest level, what type of benefit he is going to have, and how he can use all the solutions, and how he can be benefited. Now, in terms of the various, framework that we're speaking about from the year 1973, till now the Glasgow, which happened at the COP26, the range of frameworks are there on CSR, on climate and climate frameworks, which addresses the environment. It is very categorically saying that we need to, be very alert right now. The latest, the Glasgow COP26 also highlighted that 1.5 degree temperature, we can't go beyond that. So the whole idea is that the temperature is increasing and it's also impacting all forms of life. Agriculture, health, water. This is so much of stress, in fact, on all these natural resources. Natural resources is limited, and the population is increasing. So this gap is increasing at a very alarming pace, and we need to be very, careful in designing our CSR projects or any development program. Now, in terms of the various, India where stands in terms of the SDG index, as one of the esteemed speaker also informed you. We rank, though, it's not moving fast. We are still at 120. Again, the score, in fact, SDG index score has been developed by Government of India, the NITI Aayog. There, they have taken various parameters, and based on that, it is 60.1. We need to move ahead much, though we are doing well at the national context. But again, we need to move ahead. Ranking is on the global scale is not that good, but we are improving. And the spillover score is in fact 98.9. So this goes to show that we are putting effort, but more results, more effort has to be there from all these stakeholders. So learning is the key, understanding is the key. When you design it, you must think of all these ideas, concepts while you're designing the projects at initial stage. So there are challenges to sustainability. In fact, there is challenge in terms of climate, technology, environment, how we think about the project, and also what type of thinking we have in terms of programs. Is it a short-term view, or we are only on the finance part, spend it, forget it? So we have to engage with all the stakeholders. If there is a capability gap, then we have to enhance it, strengthen it. So some challenges are there. Sustainability is easy to say, difficult to achieve. But again, it has become core function at the corporate level, and we all need to imbibe this in our CSR programs and projects. Now, India's Panch Tattva at COP26, as you know, that India has committed strongly that by 2070, India will become carbon neutral. India will do all efforts to see that India's 45% carbon intensity comes down by 2030. India will use a lot of renewables, but India's developmental path will not stop. What our Prime Minister has also said, that it will not stop. That the climate justice has to be done by developed countries. They need to commit funds for developing countries. India has achieved its goal and through renewables, and will further achieve it. But India's development story must go on. But India will address all global concerns related to climate environment. Now, there's a new concept which is coming up in terms of the ESG framework. ESG is something, one side you have environment, you have social and governance part. Most of it's now something which is being spoken at the highest level also at global meets also. Now, when you design a CSR project, you have to see that what are the social challenges, social aspect. Are we covering the SDG agenda or not? Are we addressing the last person on the ground or not? Also in the process, how much efficiency we are bringing to the project, and in each step, are we doing some sort of innovation which we can say, yes, this is an innovation, and that will lead to some measurable impact after the project has been completed. Now, social aspect, environmental challenges are a lot many. Somebody is doing in the mining area, somebody is doing the sand area. You have to see that what type of need is there in that location, what type of challenges are there. Those need to be captured, and based on that, strategies need to be designed. For example, agriculture, water, soil, these are the areas which are majorly impacted. So what type of mitigation strategies you can have through solar solutions? What type of water conservation techniques you can have? Can you have some integration of all these technologies, and how this can lead to understanding of more climate resilient solutions? These are the aspects we need to think, thrive, and take it forward. Yeah. Governance is related to something at the top level, and it is happening. But again, this also needs to be further improved to strengthen the ESG factors.
Yeah, Dr. Thakur, may I request
all right. Yes, true. Just one slide.
Yeah.
So it is almost done. So green financing is also one step in which various type of financing options are coming to ESG, and that is broadly being taken up. So today, anyways, we'll announce this, the partnership also on the Center of Excellence, which will provide, a unique platform to deliberate, discuss as a knowledge platform on CSR. So that will come later. So my limited point is that CSR has huge space. We need to innovate. We need to see that what has happened over the years. We have enough data in place. And my experience by engaging with you through your projects sees that you have done a wonderful job. But again, how we can further scale it up, how we can innovate, how we can engage the climate aspect in place. And that's how, there is a long way to go on CSR. All the best. I'm thankful to Indian Chambers of Commerce that they have thought of such a program, and such a platform is being created for all the CSR professionals and sustainable development professionals. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thakur. Thank you so much for raising the question and showing the bigger picture that CSR or social impact, it is not an isolated affair to the industries or to the community. It is part of overall sustainability, or now it is called in general ESG, environmental, social and governance. And Government of India is also giving a lot of thrust on ESG, environmental, social and governance. And in fact, there is a new requirement, which was there as BRR. Now it is BRSR, business sustainability and responsibility, business responsibility and sustainability reporting, BRSR. So there is a new requirement, and it is completely in line with ESG and global ESG things. In fact, we will have a knowledge paper on BRSR also. Today it will be released. And he raised the very important question that how we are performing when our efforts are putting in the bigger picture. Dr. Thakur talked about SDG index. Dr. Sanyal talked about HDI. Our rank is 189 out of 131, and it is almost stagnant. Now Dr. Thakur talked about SDG index, which is again 120 out of 165, which is again stagnant. So there is some problem somewhere. Though our activities or initiatives are praiseworthy, we are doing a lot of things, but somehow the ultimate goal is not achieved, that the overall improvement of our country and the overall improvement of the global issues like climate change. He raised another very serious point that CSR can be used to reach ESG goals like climate change. So that's another very important point, sir. A very quick question, maybe one question from the audience to Dr. Thakur, if you have any. Please, ma'am. If we can, please.
Hello, everyone. This is Meeta. I'm from Feeding India by Zomato. Sir, thank you so much for such amazing points. And thank you, everyone. My question is that you talked about CSR becoming more structured. So from a social innovator's perspective, what can we do to make this space more structured, and what is the expectation here?
So it's a very nice question. In fact, when you were presenting during the presentation, the Zomato, food, solution for the migrant labor, if I recall right. So you did a great job. In shorter time, you tried to provide meals to so many millions of people. If I'm correct, right? If I'm recalling correct, all right. So thanks. So what can happen further is that's a great step and which addressed the need of the time that was required. You raised yourself to the occasion and did the solution. What on a long-term strategy can be done, that for CSR execution funds are required, you have the funds in place. So that 2 months, 3 months activity is all fine. Now one need to take programs or projects on a long-term basis, seeing, for example, 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years. If you have a strength in that part in addressing malnutrition, that is fine. That could be your one strength. But I think around that, you can take climate aspect also in place, addressing various climate-based project, women empowerment, gender equality, and maybe to an extent environment sustainability projects. So what can be done? You need to design a project, and in the projects one can have various aspects: designing a project, implementation, measuring the outcomes, and finally the impact assessment part. So short term, again through that, if you have good funds, you can have a long-term strategy for that.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thakur. Thank you so much. Now we will move to our next speaker, Mr. Nixon Joseph, CEO CLT India, and incidentally, he is having a huge experience in his kitty from the grassroots level. So, Mr. Nixon, the questions are now very clear. The challenges are very clear. That though we are having a lot of efforts, but it's not moving up. So maybe some of your experiences, sir, sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. At the outset, I thank Indian Chamber of Commerce for inviting me to this technical session. I'm also very proud that I have been part of the jury for the 4th ICC Social Impact Summit and Awards. Really proud of being associated with Indian Chamber of Commerce Social Impact Awards, because CSR, as we know, like awards have been commercialized these days. We give money and get awards. That has become a trend in CSR these days. So in such a background, such a context, I found ICC doing a tremendous job. And I would tell it can be adopted as a model for other organizations who are sponsoring awards. The jury was quite professional, and after the presentation, I could see a lot of discussions going on whom to be awarded, what has been the impact of each project, etc. That was a great learning experience for me. And I felt this is the way awards have to be organized, awards have to be conducted. And this is a great learning experience and can also bring out a lot of best practices in CSR when it is documented. Earlier, I was associated with the SBA Foundation as its president. And now I am a CEO of CLT India, which is an NGO in the EdTech space for the last 25 years. It's located in Bangalore. We have been providing quality education to rural government schools. And so far, we have implemented the program in more than 4,500 schools all over India. So I have the experience of being a donor and now the experience of a recipient. I had gone through the projects which had CSR projects which had come in the Social Impact Awards session. And I had, during my stint in SBA Foundation, received a lot of proposals. And now as being heading an NGO, I am submitting a lot of proposals to foundations. I find there are a lot of challenges for the funders as well as for the recipients. And CSR in India is evolving. Though it's only since it is only 8 years, I feel that CSR is at its infancy. And if we see that though it has been an infant period, like period of 8 years, a lot of improvements have happened. It has become a board agenda. Board is quite serious about what is happening in CSR. But then we have a long way to go. During the Social Impact Awards, I saw so many projects which are really, I should tell, inspiring, can create a lot of impact, etc. So that shows that the corporates have understood well the concept of CSR, how sustainability can be ensured through CSR, how SDG goals can be achieved through CSR activities, etc. And the winners have done it in an excellent manner. So kudos to all the corporates who have made it to the awards. because you have understood the concept of CSR, how sustainability can be achieved through CSR, and you have brought in a lot of good practices. The way forward, I feel, is that CSR has been neglecting social enterprises. We speak a lot about social enterprises, but lot of support or adequate support is not coming to social enterprises. Many of the youngsters start social enterprises out of their passion. And passion itself is not enough to run a social enterprise. It is in these areas where the social entrepreneurs lack, corporates can support. Corporates can support the social enterprise in areas of marketing, in areas of financial accounting. So there are a lot of areas where corporates can handhold social entrepreneurs, and that is not happening to the desired extent. As regards impacts, I feel even now, though it has become a board agenda, much importance is not given to the long-term impact. Some of the projects which were presented in the Social Impact Awards, I could find were like CSR activities had happened, but then what has been the outcome, what has been the impact has not been given much importance. And even where impact studies conducted, it's not like not of much high standards. So this is also an area of concern because as CSR evolves in India, the impact studies also have to keep up with it, and best practices have to come in the impact study area. See, a lot of ventilators have been given during the COVID period. Corporates have done a very good job. We see it in PowerPoint presentations, annual reports, etc. But what is the present status of these ventilators? Very few corporates would have studied whether they are being used, whether it is being maintained, whether it can be used in the long run. All these, I find many of the corporates are not able to answer. We have distributed a lot of equipments. We have distributed a lot of ventilators. What is the present status? Because I feel in like India, our resources are limited. Even CSR resources are limited. But then if we are not having a vision about, a goal about how our money should be spent and what should be the outcome, what should be its impact, then CSR activity just becomes a routine activity. And if we are thinking about sustainability or large-scale impact, this is something board has to give importance. And if we just go by PowerPoint presentations, we may not get the real grasp of what is happening. Because there are many PowerPoint presentations which show impact study has been conducted, impact is like this, it has benefited so many people. But what is the reality? I think we have to really find out. So this is also a concern as CSR evolves in India. And as already our guest from ITC has told, partnership or collaboration is not happening in the CSR space. Large-scale impact or scaling up can happen only if partnership or collaboration is there. And I think in this way, in this area, ICC can play a major role in bringing foundations together, in bringing corporates together, in bringing implementing agencies together, so that there can be very large-scale impact. And for large-scale impact, another factor is technology. Whether we are using artificial intelligence or latest technology, we are not bringing into the CSR sector. We are still happy with donating a school bus or ambulance, and that is the end of the CSR activity, because most of us have short-term goals. We have to see that during our period as board member, we have donated something, and we are happy with that. Because I have seen during the COVID period, education sector, a lot of laptops, tablets were distributed to children of government schools. What is the fate of these laptops, many people don't know. Donors don't know. The reality is that many of the rural government schools or these rural areas were not having internet. They didn't have they could not have the knowledge or skill to operate a laptop or tablet. We were happy with the act of CSR activity. So I think this is, I'm not telling or criticizing this. We are evolving in India. CSR is evolving in India. And these are all learning experiences. And what I'm telling is like from what I saw in the CSR sector. I am basically a banker. So I could see the risk, like everything I see from the risk perspective. So after shifting to foundation or development sector, now I am very much active in development sector. These are the observations I had, like when I was as a donor and now as a recipient. And another thing about projects is that we're like, in many cases, we don't involve the beneficiaries from the beginning. With the result that some kind of project we are implementing and then it cannot create an impact. I'm telling you, lasting impact cannot happen unless we involve the beneficiaries from the beginning onwards. Many times we decide from our foundation office that villages require this kind of facility, let us do it. And by the time we implement it, many of them are not interested in this activity at all. So once we exit, though, as per our like PowerPoint presentation, everything, once we exit, some sustainability measures are there. How far these are realistic is to be found, is to be seen. So whatever projects we do, it would be ideal to involve the beneficiaries from the beginning so that there is sustainability and there will be long-term impact. Another important thing as CSR evolves in India is we have to have capacity building, not only about NGOs, not only like NGOs, but also foundations. Those latest best practices, latest how to design a project involving artificial intelligence or latest technology. What are the things happening in like best practices with other CSR organizations? All these I find capacity building have to happen both at the donor level as well as at the recipient level. So these are my observations which I have shared with you. And I'm very hopeful that CSR in India is going to be a tremendous force in achievement of SDGs and also bringing out a better planet and also better prosperity, etc. Because 8 years is not a time to judge. We are doing very good, like we are doing very well. In fact, 8 years is a short period because CSR was something of a new concept introduced to many corporates. It was due to CSR that many NGOs also were seen as partners. So all are learning now, even NGOs are learning now. NGOs are, they will tell they are burdened with a lot of reports. They are asked to submit a lot of data. But these are all learning, evolving phases and the years to come. I'm sure that with the leadership provided by ICC, FICCI, etc., CSR will be a very important factor in India's achievement of sustainable development goals. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your enlightening speech. In fact, Mr. Joseph, he has talked about first he started with the appreciation of the ICC Social Impact Award. I think ICC requires a big applause. They deserve it. Thank you so much. The ICC team, it's a praiseworthy award process. And not only that, in the view of Mr. Nixon, it can be a role model for other awards. It's not a giving award, it's rather people deserve and get this award. So thank you so much, ICC, for this. Mr. Joseph, he has talked about 3-4 major things. First thing he talked about challenge, that neglecting social enterprises. Yes, I mean, it's a reality. Many passionate people jump into it or come to this sphere, but they need more hand-holding. So this is one point he raised from his practical experience. He talked about best practices on impact studies. Yes, in fact, impact studies, as because it's a requirement now and everybody has joined in the bandwagon of impact studies. But frankly speaking, it's in a very, very premature stage. Not even outcome. I mean, even many of the people are not sure about the difference between output and outcome and impact. So impacts are not really evaluated. Most of the time, outputs or indicators are evaluated. So a maturity level is also required in the impact field, and impact should be designed from the very beginning of the project, not at the end of the project. End of the project, it is evidenced, but it should be designed from the need assessment stage and from the baseline assessment stage. And he also talked about technology. In fact, fortunately, we have our next speaker, Mr. Anurak Pratap, who will talk about technology. But before that, I'll take a very quick question from you to Mr. Joseph. If you have any question to Mr. Joseph. Yes, sir.
Myself, Sanjeev. I represent SEMCART. I take care of HSC and CSR. The question is, the government has put in the structure for CSR. There is a framework. But what I can understand is that the impact is not getting concentrated, or we are not able to get output, the impact that is not able to visualize it. Now, if you look at this framework, the Schedule 7, it gives you certain areas where the corporates or the NGOs can work on. Now, the question that is boomerang around my mind is that now that focus areas which under Schedule 7 is too wide. For next 2-3 years or something, like if the government thinks about kind of a concentrated focus areas, so that all the corporates can focus towards that direction. So definitely that could be a major impact can be visualized. Now what is happening is the corporates are putting their efforts, but the effort is getting diluted because people are focusing on doing things at various areas. So the desired efforts are not, desired impacts are not being visualized. So maybe this could be kind of a thing that we can put forward to the government to think about and concentrated focus on certain areas. And for the next 3 years or 5 years kind of a plan. So that will give you a more desired impact on the, maybe what Doctor said about the human development ranking or the SDG ranking, that could certainly could give a better impact on that.
No, it's a good observation. See, initially, why the Schedule 7 is having lot of scope is because to give corporates the freedom to support whatever activities they feel that could be done as CSR. So a lot of activities, themes have been given. So that freedom is given to the corporates. Otherwise, it would look like an imposition on corporates to restrict to some areas, etc. And regarding restricting to some areas, I feel maybe institutions like ICC and all can combine, bring many partners together and build on one theme. So that those organizations can continue supporting that theme for maybe 3 to 4 years.
Yeah,
so
it can be a collaboration platform itself.
Then it can be it can create scales. It can create a long-term impact. It can also be a learning experience for all the partners who are coming there. They can share the best practices. So that will be an ideal step here. Yes.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Our next speaker, will move to our next speaker, Mr. Anurag Pratap. He is the Senior Director and Head CSR, Capgemini Technology Services. In fact, we talked about technology, and Capgemini is here to share their views. And from my personal experience, I can tell you Capgemini is one of the organizations in India who are having a fantastic structure of their CSR programs. So Anurag, my congratulations to you. So we can learn many things from them. So maybe sharing few of your views on these areas.
Some kind of, my mind is right now, my mother is not well and I'm sitting here and talking about CSR. So
there are two, three things. One is that somewhere I always feel that CSR has become like mandir ka ghanta. Koi bhi jata hai, baja ke chalata hai. And everyone has a number of opinion on कि इसको ऐसे नहीं ऐसे करना चाहिए, ऐसे नहीं ऐसे करना चाहिए. Just like we start learning a format and framework, suddenly government comes out with another format. So now if CSR heads are sitting in this particular room, all of you must be burdened with the CSR2 that you need to fill up before March 31st. And if you look at that CSR2 format, that is going to take your brain out and put your brain somewhere else. Because suddenly someone realized that let's look at CSR as a milking cow, and I guess somewhere another year or two we'll have a compliance officer within the CSR team itself, whose job will be only to do compliance with government, with number of forms, number of things that we have to fill up. It's just like becoming a GST thing there. The moment you learn GST, you get something else, some other rate, some other ways of doing certain things there. It was supposed to be a facilitating framework there. It suddenly became a prescriptive framework there. And that's where I get scared when someone says that, hey, can government come out with 2-3 themes and focus on that? But please don't even talk about it. If someone hears, any principal secretary hears about it, they may tomorrow comes out with saying that let's focus on 2 themes. And then you'll have difficulty there. I'm glad, Nathan, you've learned, you moved very, I'll say your thought process has suddenly moved to the NGO side, and you are talking about some of the things that NGOs really require. I don't find many CSR were willing to fund NGOs for long term. So the large funding that NGOs are getting is for annual. I imagine NGO getting annual fund, 3 months they'll use to mobilize the resources, mobilize human resources, look at other processes there, and last 3 months will go in looking for a new funder. So ultimately you are left with 6 months only to do the work, and then you'll have a consulting group coming in to do an impact assessment there. And I feel somewhere that I should stab myself multiple times and die here, rather than look at a scenario where I'm asking NGOs to what is called get the impact within 6 months of their work. And NGOs are smarter. They bring in impact within 6 months also. So I always say that when you don't have power in your points, you use PowerPoints. So they'll use their PowerPoints there to say that, hey, these are the things that I have done there. These are the indicators that I have achieved there. The question is that the corporates needs to have this particular courage to say that, hey, my 75% of my fund will be for long-term projects. 25%, I'm not very sure whether I'm going to make the same kind of profit or not. But at least my 2-year profit is there in my hand. So I know how much I'm going to allocate for this particular year. So, and that's kind of courage that corporate needs to have. I feel very happy that though I get sometimes scared, my 80% of my projects are long-term projects. We don't do short-term projects. Principally, I'm completely against of any short-term projects. I only do short-term projects as a pilot projects to see whether the organization is good enough or not, whether they understand the processes, values, principles, ideology that we have on CSR. If they do that particular thing, we move on to the multi-year project there. Most of my NGOs are 6 years, 7-year-old with Capgemini. And that gives the impact that we see. That's where you start seeing some of the change that's happening there. Because I'm completely sure that you can't bring in change within 6 months. Change is something which requires a huge gestation period and need to have that patience there. And suddenly, not suddenly, but overall, जो बोलते हैं ना कि noodles 2 मिनट में बन जाता है, बिरयानी बनाने में 3 घंटे लगते हैं. स्वाद किसका ज़्यादा आता है, you know it. So if you can what is called 6 महीने के अंदर में आप प्रोजेक्ट कर सकते हो, 6 साल के अंदर प्रोजेक्ट कर सकते हो, स्वाद किसमें आएगा आपको पता है. Are we looking for noodles kind of taste? Look for that particular thing. If you're looking for something which gives you satisfaction. Someone was asking if you place you on that. This is my 25th year in this particular sector. I'm not a very diplomatic speaker. I always tell people that drive comes from also this way that I have from the field. So is a child who said that I failed 10 times, but I am going to do I request you just to make other people believe that government students can do this. Story will someone said being a child father said that he wants to become a doctor because he wants to use the vaccine. So none of the child was these are the things that will help us, that rise all of our sitting room. About one major we understand on that project collaboration. How many of us collaborate with each other? Very few. Why we don't collaborate? Because our logos and our egos are so huge. We are burdened by our logos. We are burdened by our egos. हमको वो सीट नहीं मिली, हमको पहले बोलने को नहीं मिला, मेरा लोगो छोटा कर दिया, मेरा लोगो बराबर नहीं है, मेरा लोगो राइट में नहीं है. That prevent us from collaborating together. Again, when I say this, I know I won't be sounding modest, but I work with 18 different corporates, and we do a multi-year projects with them. And the idea is that let there be one footer there where all the logos will come in there, same size, whether it's NGO, corporate, government, anyone. One size. My communication team is not happy with me, so I'm okay with that particular thing. You can't make everyone happy, no. Life is not about what is called black and white. Life is all shades of gray that will come in there, just like my suit. So that's one particular problem that we'll have to somewhere understand. Third piece is, or fourth piece is, I don't remember. It's about understanding CSR. Today, let's face it, CSR is the only fund available for NGOs. There is no other fund available. So-called bilateral completely dried up. So-called multilateral, they themselves are asking CSR fund. So, and there is no FCRA coming in there. So all the FCRA, I'll say, I call the middlemen, who used to take the money and give it to NGOs, they started hiring people in big numbers. So yesterday I was sitting with one of the large NGO funder, and they've hired around 1,500 people in the last 1 year or so. So they've become bigger NGOs there. So that is completely dried up. So only the fund which is left is CSR. And I'll request all the CSR head who are sitting here is that bring in huge amount of empathy. Because मेरा मानना हमेशा ये रहा है कि NGOs are the real stringer of yours. If they do good, you look good. If they fail, you fail. You won't have a project to present in ICC because you're not doing any intervention. None of these corporates are directly intervening, no? Directly, they'll have a foundation there, or they'll be working with NGOs there. So if NGOs do good, they do good. And I always say that nurture them, strengthen relationship there. And it should be a partnership rather than a grant relationship. I have a huge problem there because somewhere I feel that 3 saal ka experience ke saath mein working within my team, suddenly they'll feel that, hey, I'm representing Capgemini, I'm funding you, hence I'll have more wisdom. There's someone sitting there with 25 years of experience and wisdom there. You'll have to understand, recognize, appreciate the wisdom that he or she is bringing to the table. That's the humility to recognize that the other person will be more wiser than me, and I'll be learning certain things from them. These are few things that we'll have to somewhere bring in our discourse. If we don't, look, government will come, they'll say that bring in 2 more formats there, 3 more formats there. They're loving this because suddenly they realize that all the gap funding can happen from there, from CSR. And we should also not sit with huge amount of ego thinking that we are driving the development. No, you're not. 25,000 crore is peanut looking at government development budget. So we are just filling some gaps here and there, and we are feeling very happy about it. That's good. We should feel happy about that. We are at least bringing in 25,000. You talked about 8 years, Nixon. It's not 8 years. It's 5 years or so. 3 years went in where corporates were thinking, praying, worshipping, that this should go away. They should not be there. So 3 years they really prayed like anything that the 2% should go away. It should not be mandatory there. And then last 5 years we all became very serious about it. So I count it from 5 years onwards. I don't count the whole 8 years there. And in all this situation, I'll say that to the NGOs also, जो तुमको पसंद वही बात करेंगे, stop this. Don't go to a corporate saying that आप जो बोलो वही करेंगे sir. The moment you'll say that particular thing, they're going to become the master of your destiny. Go there with because you exist for the values that you have. No, don't become a subcontractor. Be the dreamer. Be I'll say someone who has a dream, and you need someone to fund you so that you can realize your dreams there. I never ever fund anyone who says that आप बताओ सर क्या करना है? And I'm like, मुझे कुछ नहीं पता है, मैं बेवकूफ आदमी हूँ, मुझे क्या पूछ रहा है? So don't go there. That's one. Second is that NGOs also need to collaborate, because you are too smaller. There are smaller NGOs there. They will never be able to reach out to, for example, bigger banking giants who will have, I'll say, 200 crores to fund within 1 year. They are looking for bigger players. With annual turnover of 1 crore, they are not going to look at you. They'll be looking at someone whose turnover is around 75 crore. Build a consortium, reach out to them saying that, hey, this is the common turnover that we command, and this is the work that we wish to do. Otherwise, you will get sidelined. My outlook in coming 3 years is that there will be a huge amount of acquisition happening within the NGO space also. Huge. And I do see some of those things happening. The smaller NGOs will get eaten up by bigger ones, because they have might, they have strength, they have people, and they know how to make PowerPoint. So they'll eat you up. So get ready with that particular thing also. And going forward, collaboration is the only key, whether it's for CSR heads or for NGOs. And I completely agree with you when you talk about too many consultants these days, and they don't understand outcome, impact. They just don't understand. And the blame also lies with us. We have passed on, I'll talk about Capgemini. I passed down completely the impact assessment work to my procurement. So they decide 20% sample size with 7 lakh rupees. Kaise karega? How will anyone do that particular thing? Unka hai paise mujhe bachane hai. The rule came out saying that 50 lakh is the maximum. Everyone is weaving around with 50 lakh. I'll have 10 projects there. 10 project को मैं कैसे 50 लाख का impact assessment करेगा with 20% का sample size लेके? So these are few things that no one is looking at. Everyone is looking at वो एक number, एक report, and to the director's report, and we all are happy with that particular thing. Happy CSR days, months, and weeks ahead for all of you. And I'm sure a few good things will happen. I'm sure a few nicer things will happen. I'll take last 30 seconds. Just to talk about some of the tech-related work that we have done to make sure that the drudgery of NGOs, drudgery of CSR is reduced significantly. And the effort is not just on our operation, but the effort is also to ensure that whatever we are doing at field, we bring in tech as an enabler there. We make sure that they contribute in what we do. And our effort is to impact the ecosystem. So we don't look at skill. We don't look at education. We don't look at startup, but we look at the whole ecosystem of startup, which includes incubation, which includes supporting academia to identify the ideas, work with them, provide mentoring, provide funding, provide strategic support and all. Again, with the skilling, we don't just look at skill academies, but we look at facilitator training, certification, content development, so that when you go to the field, you are much more prepared to handle it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anurag, for your excellent speech. First of all, we want to thank you again because of your personal difficult time, still you have you could manage to come, and we all wish your mother speedy recovery. What Anurag talked about, in fact, whenever I meet him, I hear from him the same words, that long-term. In fact, long-term investment can change the scenario. And that is, once you are in long-term mode, then all things will fall in place. Most of the things will fall in place. And short term, he has given a fantastic example that short term can be thought for pilot projects. Short term can be thought, I'll add one more thing, for contingencies. Like any kind of emergency situation like COVID, yes, short term you can think about. But even for COVID, you can think about long term. I mean, the long term fallout of those projects. You can, even from short term, you can come out with long term things. In fact, if you distinguish between who have received the award or who are going to receive the award and who are not, possibly the difference is long-term thoughtful projects and short-term quick projects. Possibly this is one of the differentiators. He talked about another important point, that's failure in collaboration. And he has given two prompts for this, two leads for this, ego and logo. Thank you, Anurag, for that. Because of depth of time, we are not taking questions now. You can give your questions to ICC. We'll answer that later on, or offline, you can always ask questions. After Anurag, we will move to and our last but very important speaker, to another Anurag, Dr. Anurag Priyadarshi. Anurag, you are here. You can hear us. Anurag,
yeah,
you can hear. Okay, great. Just to give you the introduction, he is the Director Sustainability, Tata Consumer Products Limited. In fact, Tata's as a group, as individual companies, they are known for their philanthropic or social responsibility activities for years, hundreds, I mean more than 100 years. So let's hear from them. What are their good practices? In fact, Dr. Priyadarshi is a very thoughtful person, cerebral person. So, Anurag, maybe you have heard about the discussions and the challenges. Maybe some good practices from your organization. Over to Anurag, please.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Saikat. Thank you, ICC, the great organization, for inviting me to the Impacts Award. I think it's a privilege to learn and share experiences. I worked, like Saikat said, in Tata Consumer Products as the Director of Sustainability. And Saikat and I started our career in DNV as a certification body. So I know him for more than 20 years. Tata Consumer Product, although the name may sound new to you, but the products are in your home every day. Desh ka namak or Desh ki chai, Tata Tea and Tata Salt, this is the company. I will sort of try, through not just my experience, but all your experiences put together, try to summarize what could be a model for social impact. And I call it Chaturbhuj model, the four forces. And these are four partners, four motivations, four commitments, and the four processes. And through this quick presentation, I'll try and give some example on these four forces. But quickly, I'll keep coming back to this. So you may want to make a note on this. And if you run out of time, then I can stop very quickly. But this is the summary right up there. The four partners are, the government and the regulators. Of course, many of us have spoken about the important role government can play as a facilitator. Competitor, I think pre-competitive collaboration is by far the most powerful force to create social impact. And I'll give you an example of Trustee in the next few slides, which is a collaboration between Unilever and Tata. Community groups, and when I say community groups, I'm not just industrial organizations, but also village development, forest development communities, and then technical partners like NGOs, many of you here, absolutely vital. I think without them, both Indian and international, they bring so much of experience and expertise to make the social impact. When we say four motivations, it's of course, my Anurak Pratap spoke about the regulatory compliance requirements of BRSR. We're all struggling with it. But for Tata Group, the ethical values are extremely important. Risk management, and we have a banker on this panel, so he spoke about risk management, market opportunities, and I'll tell you about how we are looking at market opportunities to create social impact through our portfolio of nutritional products and many of other FMCG companies. I mean, we can learn from ITC, from Unilever, and us. And also a great campaign we did on Jagore. I think that was a social impact campaign. I'll briefly touch that. And then the 4 commitments. The long-term commitment, nothing less than 5 years. I mean, how can you make impact? Anything which is shorter than that, it escapes me. Secure funding. I mean, NGOs, any partner needs funding for long term. You cannot make impact before that. And measurable targets, I'll quickly touch upon some of them. And executive time. Maybe we haven't mentioned this, but until and unless my CEO, my executive director, they become part of these projects, I get them to give me 1 week a year, traveling to Assam, traveling to my project areas, spending time talking to the beneficiaries, talking to NGOs and all the NTA states, talking to the managers and the communities. I think it's a huge impact. I mean, the sort of messaging it does across the organization, how serious we as a company are, I think it cannot be undermined. And eventually the 4 processes, plan, do, check, and act. I think for every project we do that, development of program, implement it, verify and evaluate it, and then, act means this is based on the Deming cycle. So you have look at the improvement opportunities and plan again. Now going quickly to the Tata Group, you are all aware of this, but in Tata Group, we always start our presentation talking about a founder, Jamshedji Tata, who said in a free enterprise, community is not just another stakeholder, but is in fact the purpose of our existence. I think that's so important for us. And he spoke this 150 years back when, the word about stakeholder, about shared values did not exist. But, and Tata Group, most of our companies will live by those values. I've talked about this company, Tata Consumer. We are one of the largest company in the space of second largest tea brand in the world. And of course, you have Tata Sampann, the Pulses brand, and Tata Salt, etc. In terms of our scope and scale and what we do, we have a significantly large budget. We reach out to 1 million beneficiaries. In ESG rating, various ESG ratings that we look at, we are, whether it's CDP or Sustainalytics, we are in the top 25% of FMCG companies globally. And we do like 27 community projects in more than 7 countries in Asia, Africa, America, Australia. I have operational control over 72 locations, which are our factories and offices. We do a lot of volunteering. Tata Group is one of the world's largest corporate volunteers. I'll quickly touch upon the social impact, and we were talking about how big the impact can be, what can be the scale and scope, and how it can be built into the business itself. It should not be sitting outside our business. So, Tata Salt, I mean, I think pioneering in iodized salt, supporting the entire nation in terms of reducing iodine deficiency. I think the country can be proud of that compared to other countries. We also introduced, low sodium salts. We've introduced iron fortified salts, everything good for the communities. I think for us, the target currently is we are reaching 200 million households with our nutritional products. We want to double it to 400 million households by 2030 in the next 8 years. Apart from spices, pulses, the first one to introduce unpolished. When you polish pulses, you remove some nutrition. You also you use some lubricants which are not good for health. So we introduce unpolished pulses. Our teas have vitamins, and if you haven't tried a green tea, you must. It's very good for health. Our recent acquisition is Soulful, which brings all the ancient millets like ragi into your breakfast. When it comes, and this was the example I was talking about in terms of pre-competitive collaboration, and it starts from this city, from Kolkata. So we need to be proud of that. Trustee is the world's largest sustainable agricultural certification for a single commodity in a single geography. And this is all about, when we say sustainable agriculture, and it's a certification, it's according to international standards, it's everything around environmental requirements, farm management systems, it's around agrochemical management, both chemicals and fertilizers and pesticides. It's around health and safety. It's around human rights, wages, working hours, overtime, environmental, biodiversity. So it's a huge standard. It's benchmarked against the best in the world, which is Rainforest Alliance standard. Incidentally, I'm a director on the global board of both of this. But unique collaboration because it started with the government, the Tea Board of India, which convened this along with Unilever, which is India's and Tata, the two largest tea companies, saying, what can you do to transform the Indian tea sector? And we said we'll bring in an international program. We were already doing Rainforest Alliance in Europe, in Africa, for the European markets. So we said we'll bring that best practice to India. And in these 9 years, we've been able to transform the Indian tea sector. You can see the impact. I mean, reaching out to, it's 790 million kilos of tea, which is about 60% of Indian tea has been transformed. We fund this along with Wagh Bakri, the third largest, who joined us about 3 years back. 650,000 workers, and majority of them being women, 80,000 small growers, which is about 1/3 of all small growers, and 320,000 hectares, 670 entities. So huge impact. And apart from this, scale and scope, it is providing a market access, because there is a premium. Both Unilever and Tata have committed that we'll only buy tea if it is trustee certified. And close to 60-70% of the tea we are buying, both the companies and Wagh Bakri, is trustee certified. This is audited by independent organizations like DNV and IMO, etc. Something that Anurak Pratap said, in terms of collaboration between NGOs, we found this very interesting. When the program started, we said that it will be, the Unilever and Tata will not be talking to each other, they will compete, which we do in the marketplace. But actually, the NGOs were not talking to each other. For us, talking to Unilever and Unilever talking to us to make this program successful was so much more easier. We had some very clear directions, but we had NGOs who were working with us and they were not talking to, they refused to collaborate with each other. So I think there is a important lesson there that NGOs should collaborate and talk. And the role of technical partners. And we bought the best technical partners like IDH from Netherlands, Solidaridad from Netherlands, who are working in different, coffee, palm oil, cacao, etc., etc. And they bought their best practice for tea in India. And I think that has helped to transform, improving wages, working hours, maternity benefits, everything. You can look into the website for this. I'll go to the next one. I think from a better planet, many of the companies do it, but we are, very focused on the environmental part of things, because this also has social impact. We are climate leaders among food and beverage companies. We bring water stewardship projects, circular economy, plastic packaging will be, so we are part of the Indian Plastic Pact, and we will be 100% recyclable by 2030, 50% renewable energy commitments. Also, some of our products are carbon neutral certified. We work with NGOs in capacity building of rag pickers and waste workers, sanitation workers. I think that's a very important component. And finally, we will just jump to the, we talked about the market opportunities part, and here I'm speaking about Jagore, our important platform through which we had some celebrities, but very importantly, it has helped in create very important awareness. I mean, whether it's around corruption, whether it is around voting. In 2014, we did this Power of 49, which was a very unique campaign. We got women voters. We did a activation on television, but we also did a ground level activation. We had NGOs going out and getting people who are not enrolled, who didn't have the voter ID card, helping them to get voter ID cards. So we also do a Desh Ka Kullad, helping artisans on Independence Day. And during COVID, we did Badon Ke Liye Jagore. So we wanted to reach out to elderly who were not getting help, not just for vaccination, but providing food and services. That was extremely useful. And we are not just, social impact is not just restricted to India. We also reach out in Malawi. We work with UNICEF, the United Nations Children Fund, helping them build schools and developmental centers in the tea gardens of Malawi. More than 50% households don't have lighting. So we give them solar lamps, nutrition for that, helping with kitchen gardens, and then also village saving schemes are put in place in Malawi, which is again, one of the more, marginalized communities in the tea growing areas. we work with UNICEF, a huge impact, I think, a project where we reach out to more than 3 lakh community members and more than 250 estates, if I remember, which is about 25% of all the estates in Assam, reaching out to parents. This project, actually, we talked about risk, and this actually started from a risk perspective where we were confronted with certain media reports about human rights risks, human rights incidents in the tea gardens in Assam. And here again, a collaboration came under umbrella of various companies. So how collaboration, Unilever and Tata and even international companies like Tailors of Harrogate and Twinings and Tesco, the retailer, all of them came together to drive this project with international organizations and UNICEF. And I think that's how we are able to transform this. The enrollment rate for girls in schools have gone up very high, close to 80%. Child marriages, which were so common about 6-7 years back, we hardly hear any cases. No unsafe migration, 96% deliveries in institutions, and very, very prepared. This project started much before COVID, so they were very well prepared in terms of the adolescent girl groups and the mothers club in managing the COVID responses. Other things around hospital care, and finally volunteering, which is so important. We are one of the world's largest volunteers. And Tata also has a Tata Affirmative Action Program, which reaches out to Dalits and Adivasis. We give them support in terms of education, employment, employability, entrepreneurship, also to marginalized women, also to differently abled people. That's all from my end. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Priyadarshi. Thank you so much for the wonderful speech, wonderful sharing your views and sharing your thoughts. In fact, if I'm allowed to summarize his points and summarize the success factors, we can very clearly see that the Tata Group of companies, they got the success in this field through one is a rock solid framework. Anurag talked about that they are having a 4 forces model with partner, process, motivation, and I think communication. So these are the 4 components of their model. So they have a strong framework. Second is collaboration, and collaboration, they have ample number of collaboration, national, international, in NGO level, in company level, even with the competitors. So collaboration, and also he talked about the internal success factor, the internal collaborations, that is volunteer. Do not neglect this force, the corporates as well as the organizations. That volunteer mechanism, involvement of the volunteers is a very strong, you can say, intervention in the whole process. And he talked about integrating CSR in the core business, the example of Jagore, integration of this in the event marketing event itself. So thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Priyadarshi, for the excellent experience sharing. If there are any questions, we can take that later on. You can send it to give it to ICC and you will get the answers. So this comes to the end of the technical session. We are a bit delayed, sorry for that, but thanks to all the speakers for their excellent views. My thanks to each and everyone. And with this, I hand over the platform to ICC. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Basu. It was a wonderful discussion that we had in the morning. Excellent speakers and wonderful viewpoints. I'm sure all of us have taken note of the important points. So we move on. We have a knowledge paper that has been prepared by Consultivo. May I request speakers to please unwrap and release the knowledge document. We also have with us Mr. Sanjay Budhia, past president of ICC, Ms. Rowan Ainsworth, Consul General of Australian High Consulate General in Kolkata, and Mr. Nick Lowe, British Deputy High Commissioner. May I request you also to join the stage in the release of the knowledge document. Please start from group chat. Attend. Thank you very much to all the dignitaries. So we've come to the end of the first session, the morning session. Now we will break for tea for 5 minutes, and our quiz link will be open now onwards for next 15 minutes. This year, for the first time, ICC and Consultivo is jointly organizing the quiz on social impact. So please scan the QR code you have received. Next 15 minutes, the link will be opened. Our speakers, please don't disperse right now. We have mementos. Speakers kindly be there. We have mementos. May I request Mr. Sanjay Budhia to please hand over mementos to our speakers. To Mr. Anurag Pratap. Mr. Nixon Joseph. Dr. Amit Thakur. Dr. Shubhanshu Shangal. And Mr. Shulkat Basu. We also have, we would also like to felicitate our jury members who were there for the awards. Since our Mr. Sanjay Budhia is already here, so may I request Mr. Budhia to also hand over the jury a small memento from ICC. To Mr. Shubhanshu Shangal, Dr. Shubhanshu Shangal, Mr. Nixon Joseph, Dr. Amit Thakur. Thank you very much. And Mr. Shulkat Basu. Mr. Ashwini Saxena is joined us remotely, so we will send it over to him. Thank you very much. We can disperse for 5 minutes now. Tea will be served on the Tea will be served on the table, so we'll just take a 5 minutes comfort break. Our speakers are already here for the next session, which is the most interesting and important session for all of us, the awards.
দেরি হয়েছে।
Okay, it will take certain time, maybe due to internet connectivity, it will take the page to load. Take your time. Please fill up your name, mobile number, email ID, because apart from the award, there will be a certificate also. You will be receive the certificate over email. So digital certificate will be there. So please write your email ID correctly. Take your time, no hurries. Instead of 15 minutes, if required, we will keep another 5 minutes open, because there are some internet issue we have seen. Only 10 questions are there, but please write the email ID correctly. Before we start the award session, we will give some award for the quiz also, and everybody who will participate will receive a certificate, digital certificate over email. Our honorable dignitaries are already here. Mr. Sanjay Budhia, Dr. Viva Dhawan, DG of TERI will be joining virtually. Mr. Nicholas Lowe, Deputy High Commissioner of British Deputy High Commission in Kolkata. Mr. Nakamura Yukata, Consul General of Consulate General of Japan in Kolkata. Ms. Rowan Ainsworth, Consul General of Australian Consulate General in Kolkata. And Dr. Krishna Nimal Sen, Chairman of ICC OHSC Committee. So we now begin the most interesting and look forward session, which is the award ceremony. All our organizations have prepared very hard for this session. They have competed and some of them have won. So I would request Mr. Sanjay Budhia, past president of Indian Chamber of Commerce, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Very good afternoon and warm welcome to the honorable dignitaries, guests, friends from media present today for this very special session of Indian Chamber of Commerce flagship event, Social Impact Summit and Awards. The ICC Social Impact Awards has become a very important initiative of ICC, which has been able to establish itself as a truly national award on CSR for industry as well as social sector organizations. CSR has become an essential and impactful part of the corporate landscape in countries like India, where economic integration and social inclusion are vital forces driving the masses towards growth and development. While CSR impacts internal processes and company culture, environmental, social, and governance, ESG is a measurable set of propositions that external partners and investors look at the evaluation of a company. ESG illustrates a company's identification and qualification of its risks and opportunities, as well as highlights the ethics of a company. I am happy to share with all of you that ICC and the Energy and Resources Institute, that is TERI, are launching the ICC TERI Center of Excellence on CSR and Sustainability. The MOU will be exchanged today, which will be the very first step in this direction. This center will provide a platform for knowledge sharing amongst corporate, NGOs, academia, and government on CSR, sustainability, and sustainable solution for businesses. Friends, India at COP26 has pledged to achieve zero emissions by 2070. As such, Indian businesses would require considering sustainability not as a value addition, but as a core requirement in their business strategies to achieve India's new and bold climate targets. I am confident that the partnership between ICC and TERI with their interdisciplinary activities for conducting scientific research and development in the fields of environment and CSR will help in fulfilling the objectives of the Center of Excellence and will jointly be able to deliver high-end solutions for the benefit of all stakeholders. The fourth edition of the ICC Social Impact Awards has witnessed participation from across the country on projects of social importance. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to our knowledge partner, Consultative Academy, and to our jury board for carrying out the extremely difficult task of shortlisting the applications and deciding on the winners. And of course, to our esteemed panelists and friends on the dais for their valuable time to join us. And I once again welcome all our eminent guests and speakers to the 4th ICC Social Impact Summit and Awards. The award distribution and the felicitation of the winners will follow shortly. Thank you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I request Dr. Viva Dhawan, Director General of TERI, to please address us. She will be joining us virtually.
Thank you so much. Esteemed panelists, senior management and colleagues from the Indian Chamber of Commerce, media, sponsors and participants. I'm extremely happy to address this August gathering today at the 4th ICC Social Impact Summit and Awards organized by Indian Chamber of Commerce. This platform is unique and one of the most credible platforms for recognizing the CSR work of corporate India and NGOs in bringing change and strengthen the social landscape in India. The UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs as we commonly call them, adopted by the United Nations member states in 2015, provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people now and into the future. These goals are a call for urgent action by all countries in a global partnership, and this partnership includes not just governments, but also civil societies, scientific communities, academics, and business houses. While the role of states, academia, and civil society as important partners in achieving the SDGs is widely acknowledged, the important contribution by businesses in promoting sustainable development and tackling social, economic, and environmental challenges also deserves recognition. Through their various CSR activities, both government and private sector have mobilized large resources to help address the social issues related to human development. We at TERI are extremely happy to announce the partnership with Indian Chamber of Commerce, ICC, for setting up Center of Excellence on CSR and sustainability. Indian Chamber of Commerce is the leading and the only national chamber of commerce operating from Calcutta and one of the most proactive and forward-looking chambers in the country today. TERI, as many of you might be aware, it is a not-for-profit research organization that is involved in interdisciplinary research activities for conducting scientific research and development in the field of energy, environment, sustainable agriculture, and sustainable development as a whole. And I would like to mention, it is not just a research institute, it is also that we believe in implementation. So research that remains in the four walls of the laboratory is not that significant as if you work with the communities and ensure that the research results are actually adopted in the field. And therefore, we are very active in collaborating with corporate houses to carry out the CSR activities. And TERI has developed solutions in CSR and sustainability space, integrating triple goal of people, planet, and profit. TERI has a dedicated group on CSR and has developed an overall strategy to develop capacity for CSR and sustainability programs. The CSR work at TERI that focuses on research, consulting, and implementation. The idea of creating one national platform on CSR intends to engage and develop knowledge domain, capacity building, research, implementation, partnerships, and outreach. To address these issues and achieving the objectives, the Center of Excellence on CSR and Sustainability is a landmark step in changing the social, environment, and economic ecosystem in India, in the neighboring countries, and perhaps globally. Establishing Center of Excellence, both by ICC and TERI, will strengthen the CSR work, exchange ideas, and build partnerships which will add value to business and achieving the national and global goals especially the SDGs. For this purpose, a dedicated website has been created so that every interested stakeholder can engage through this platform. I'm looking forward as Terry, as a colleague from Terry, we look forward to having this Center of Excellence in association with ICC, and we urge corporates and stakeholders to join hands in creating knowledge-driven CSR landscape for India. It's extremely important. CSR is important for the country, and more important is sharing ideas and learning from the past experience. So with these words, I would like to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity and also having faith in Terry to have this CSR with ICC. Thank you once again.
Dr. Amit Thakur is here, so on behalf of Terry, he can represent Dr. Dhawan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks and congratulations.
Thank you, madam. We now move on. May I request Mr. Nicholas Lowe, British Deputy High Commissioner, to please address us.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Rowan. As you know, I take my social media hugely seriously. Could you bear to take a photo of me? I need to look devastatingly handsome. It's a huge order, but if you can do, I'd be very grateful. Namaskar, namaste, namaskara, salam alaikum. Very good afternoon to all of you. And let me start by saying, isn't this brilliant to see a room full of people? Absolutely wonderful. Really, really good. And I think quintessentially, Sanjay, this is a celebration being here for these social impact awards. This is about people doing the right thing. It's about people doing good things. It's an occasion about making the world better for other people. And I don't think there's ever been a better time than the last 2 weeks to do that. The world needs a little bit of cheer, doesn't it? And Sanjay, I cannot think of anyone better than your good self to be chairing this session. And I take my hat off to all that you do and all that your family does. You amaze me. It really does bowl me over. So thank you very much. Okay. Corporate social responsibility and good deeds in the corporate sector is all about doing the right thing. And doing the right thing when you don't have to do the right thing. No one says you have to do CSR. You do it because you want to do it, because your shareholders want you to do it, because your customers want you to do it, because your investors want you to do it. You do it because it's the right thing to do. I take my hat off to you. You are big people doing big things. I salute you for what you've done over the past year, and I warmly encourage you to continue doing it over the year to come and beyond. Doing the right thing is very often binary. Pretty simple choice. Do it or don't do it. Occasionally, there are little bits of grey, but more often than not, it's pretty clear what you need to do. I quote the late, great Archbishop Desmond Tutu, the tireless anti-apartheid campaigner in South Africa, who recently left her, when he said, in any situation of injustice, being neutral is to take the side of the oppressor. A couple of centuries earlier, the British-Irish philosopher Edmund Burke said that the only thing required for evil to succeed is for good men to stand and do nothing. So I think it behoves me just to say very briefly a few words on Ukraine. It's not really the occasion for a political speech, but I think it would be odd not to say anything whatsoever. And I can sum my argument up what happened in the United Nations Security Council. The first such emergency session of the UN Security Council since I was at university, and my goodness, that was an awfully long time ago. I'm not going to confess how long ago it was, but just believe me, decades ago. 141 United Nations member states voted for Russia to cease its military action in Ukraine. Only 4 countries supported Russia. I don't think you can get much more emphatic, much more unequivocal than that. And this had an immense effect around the world, but nowhere more so than in Europe, where I really see this as our 9/11 moment. Melinda's not on the stage today. I think she would understand that. Here we had a risk that seemed theoretical, that seemed remote, and that suddenly was very up close and personal. And what was worse, it had been hiding in plain sight the whole time. Dostoevsky once memorably wrote that man is unhappy because he doesn't know he's happy. Sometimes that can be difficult to unpack when you hear it for the first time. You know, it's that sense that you're at home and one of your kids has not come home from school and you don't know where they are. And suddenly, however bad a day you've had, nothing else matters. And I think it's really given us a sense, not only in Europe, but around the world, that the rules-based international system does matter. It's our planet, it's our one planet, and we need to look after it. Which brings me on to climate change. And Sanjay, I knew you knew I was going to talk about climate change. And this is a specific plea to all of you here. And can I say, I'm so happy to have our friends from Terry in the room, with whom we've worked very closely over the last couple of years. Look, from engines in the 18th century as a birthplace of the Industrial Revolution to life sciences as I speak, British business and British innovation has a proud history of leading the world and shaping the future. India too is now stepping up into that same space. You know, I was very struck yesterday. I saw some stats published last night. Do you know, and it's not really something to celebrate, but I thought this was remarkable. More people are now dying of flu in the United Kingdom than are now dying of COVID. Extraordinary statistic. And that's part of a British-Indian success story with the development of Covishield. And more Covishield has gone into more arms around the world than any other vaccine. That's the UK and India working together as a force for good. We want to do lots more of that. But I want to talk about climate change. I've spoken about British industry stepping up and doing the right thing. And I very much want Indian colleagues in this room to join us in a clean, green future that is within our grasp. We can't do it on our own. The UK and Australia, the UK, Australia and Japan, we cannot do it on our own. If you want an image, we're all in a boat near the top of Niagara Falls, and strong and fit though they are, Rowan and Yutaka and I are not going to be able to stop that dinghy going off the top of the waterfall. We need everyone who's in that dinghy to row together, and then we can do it. Because we're running out of time to protect our precious planet. You'll recall that in 2015, the countries of the world signed the Paris Agreement, an international deal to tackle the threat of climate change. In Glasgow, in November, under the British presidency of COP26, finally, we operationalized the Paris Agreement. Yes, unbelievably, signed in 2015, but only came into force in November of last year. Now, the Paris Agreement commits us all to limit the rising global temperatures to well below 2 degrees, and if at all possible, to 1.5 degrees. It was agreed because the science said the world would avoid the very worst effects of climate change if we could do that. But since that agreement was signed, sadly, the world has done not nearly enough. And now to keep 1.5 degree target within reach, quite simply, we need to halve our global emissions by the year 2030, a little more than 7.5 years away, and we need to reach net zero by the middle of the century. And that, frankly, is an enormous task. But it was at the heart of what we tried to do in Glasgow. It was at the heart of what the international community tried to do in Glasgow, to keep 1.5 degrees alive. And we succeeded. It is still alive, but as last week's report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change makes absolutely clear, it ain't in the bag. There is an awful lot more to do. So what's this got to do with you? This is all about government, surely. No way. To succeed, we need your innovation, your influence, and your energy from the private sector on our side. So my one ask for you today is for all the companies represented in this room who've not already done so to join the Race to Zero campaign. I will put a link to it on my Twitter feed this evening when I get home. Race to Zero is not a British initiative. You're not signing up to anything that we're doing. Race to Zero is a United Nations campaign that commits you to reaching net zero emissions by 2050 at the latest, and sets a series of milestones en route to that. Those targets absolutely based on science. So net zero is not some vague aspiration, it's a concrete plan, and that is absolutely vital. I'm afraid the days when we can nod about sustainability are long behind us. We've a window, and that window is closing very, very rapidly. On the positive side, there is some fantastic real momentum building across the corporate world. We've seen it to a much greater extent than we expected in my country, where hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies, ranging from really small companies to the big companies on the FTSE 100 stock exchange, have signed up to do this. All are dedicated to creating the future that our planet needs. It's not just good for the climate, it's also good business. The direction of travel is absolutely clear. The world is going green. The opportunities are enormous. Those of you who choose not to get on the train now, and I'm sure all of you will choose to get on the train now, will be stumbling to catch up with competitors as they set off towards a clean, low-carbon future. So for any of those who've not yet joined Race to Zero, please, please, please find out about it and join us. We will be working flat out with our international partners, but we do absolutely need business on board. For those of you who've already signed up, we ask you to exchange your polluting vehicles for clean ones, to remove deforestation from all of your supply chains, to commit to using clean energy. which in 2/3 of the world is now cheaper than fossil fuel energy, and to make sure that is reflected, please, in your supply chains. Don't do it for me. Please do it for my children, but even more so, do it for your children and for your children's children. I thank you very much for the invitation. I thank you very much for your kind attention. Let's do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for speaking out from the heart. Thank you very much. May I now request Mr. Nakamura Yutaka, Consul General of Japan in Kolkata, to please address us.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Sanjay. My colleague, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'd like to start echoing what just Nick said. He already left about Ukraine and the climate change. So I'm not going to touch upon. Today is a special day for the Japanese people. 11 years ago, almost exact time now, the biggest tsunami hit northern part of Japan. When I checked the fact this morning, I didn't know that the more than 8 meters of tsunami hit just after the 32 minutes of the earthquake. So it was very quick. And then again and again, more than 10 meters of tsunami hit many cities of northeast of Japan. So we lost about 15,900 lives, and still more than 2,500 people are missing. So we are still keep looking for those people. And may I take this opportunity to thank all of you, people of India and people in West Bengal, particularly, to give us the support and encouragement when we most need it. Thank you very much for the opportunity, by the way, today. I heartily appreciate ICC's initiative to organize annually. I attended last year also, and Social Impact Summit, and awarding and recognize the corporate and NGOs for implementing innovative and sustainable social development project in this area. I would also like to congratulate Indian Chamber of Commerce and the Energy and Resource Institute for tying up today to launch a Center of Excellence for CSR and Sustainability. I strongly believe their mutual engagement will go a long way towards their objectives. In the context of today's event, let me share with you recent contribution by a Japanese company towards India's health sector. During the challenging phase of COVID-19 pandemic in India, the Japanese company named Airwater India came forward hand in hand with other Indian companies to produce and deliver medical oxygen in order to save lives of the serious COVID patients. I believe that many lives have been saved. Thanks to their impressive work for the society, and I presented the certificate of commendation to Airwater India on behalf of the government of Japan in this very special year. which marks the 70th year of anniversary of Japan-India diplomatic relations, also 75th year of independence, and 125th birth anniversary of Netaji Chandra Bose. I'm happy to see today somewhat similar endeavor on the part of ICC to give recognition to the exemplary work performed by the corporate and other organizations in India towards social development. I believe this kind of recognition certainly inspire the spirit of corporate social responsibility and social commitment of organizations and implementing agencies so as to come up with innovative development projects which will have meaningful and sustainable impact on the quality of life of the people in the society. My heartfelt good wishes to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yutaka. We would now request Ms. Rowan Ainsworth, Consul General of Australian Consulate General in Kolkata, to please address us.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me here today to speak at the ICC Social Impact Summit and Awards. It is very heartening to see the ICC recognising exemplary corporate social responsibility practices, the projects of companies and organisations that are contributing to community and the economic development across India. May I heartily applaud all of the work being done, whether recognised here today or not. I'm always humbled by the extent of philanthropy in this country. And it's not just through CSR legislation, although I think that's excellent legislation, could be a really good model for other countries, including my own, for consideration there. But it's actually, I see it every day. It's large companies, it's government, it's small organizations, it's social organizations, it's just individuals wanting to be in. So it's very humbling. The challenge of the COVID-19 environment we have all experienced over the past year or two has shown us exactly how important this work is. It's becoming more and more vital to sustain community programs. The health and also the economic toll of COVID-19 has amplified challenges facing our region and complicated our efforts to promote a stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific. So I want to describe us now as a post-COVID world, but perhaps that's a bit premature. I suppose what I mean is that governments have now normalised the idea of COVID. As Nick said, there were more flu deaths than COVID deaths in the UK. So we're now treating COVID as a normal part of the context in which we operate. But I know that the Australian government is committed to do everything possible to give our businesses and economies in the Indo-Pacific region at large the maximum opportunity to trade, invest, and recover post-COVID. And India is a natural partner for Australia. Its growing strategic heft is being felt beyond the immediate region. Just look at the Quad, for example. And that is creating new opportunities for cooperation based on our shared values and outlook. Australia's decision to open a consulate in Kolkata was a recognition of exactly that, the growing bilateral relationship and the importance of the east and northeast of India. And our consulate too is working on social impact. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of the projects that I find more interesting. We provide small grants to support projects by community groups and NGOs in Eastern India and Northeastern India. And during what seems to be more like International Women's Week than International Women's Day, I think it's appropriate to say that the focus of a lot of our projects are on women's economic empowerment. Our grant program seeks to build resilience among the underserved rural communities in East and Northeast India by creating sustainable livelihood opportunities focused on women. And we've supported some very interesting community development initiatives. For example, supporting the education of children with disabilities in Odisha. Australia has a long history of what we call the School of the Air, and that was set up for children living in remote parts of Australia who really just couldn't physically go to school. And so they went to school via the radio. And this has been running for many, many years in Australia, for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. So I was really pleased to support a similar program, but with a different goal, that was set up in Odisha. And the idea of that program was to support children with impaired visual learning so they could have audio lessons. And of course, during COVID, there are a lot of children who couldn't go to school and had to study from home, who perhaps might not have had access to computers, but did have a radio. And the Odisha government got behind this project as well. And they rebroadcast the lessons so that it reached a much wider audience. So that was a really satisfying outcome. And here in West Bengal, we have, for example, supported women working as domestic helpers with training on their legal rights and entitlements. And I found out that apparently it's perhaps not uncommon for domestic workers to lose their jobs just before Durga Puja because their employers don't want to pay them an annual bonus. So they're teaching them about their legal rights, I think, is really important for those women's economic benefits. Our Wash for Women program, it's also in Odisha, is shaping inclusive sanitation and hygiene accessibility among the most marginal groups and populations in Bhubaneswar's urban slums. So trans people, people with disabilities, the elderly, girls and single mothers. And even our alumni have been pioneers of change in the social sector, building stronger communities for those who are less well served. Through the Australian Alumni Grant Scheme, we're supporting alumni by partnering with them on innovative projects in Eastern India, such as water management and integrated solar energy for disadvantaged communities across West Bengal. The Indo-Pacific has emerged as a region of increasing power and influence, and Australia and India are steady partners. The Quad is a key pillar of Australia's regional engagement, bringing together our countries' individual capabilities to promote a positive agenda for the Indo-Pacific. Quad initiatives are helping to build regional countries' capacities in various ways, strengthening social development and driving community engagement. I mean, just look at the vaccine drive that the Quad undertook, with lots of support from Japan as well as India and the US. Given both Australia and India's dependence on the Indian Ocean for our people's livelihoods and economic well-being, our bilateral cooperation also covers a wide range of issues in that area. Our joint initiatives include defence cooperation, maritime initiatives to address climate change, such as the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, and investments in research and development of low emissions technologies for clean energy. Australia's foremost foreign and security policy goal is fostering an open, inclusive and prosperous Indo-Pacific. It's about ensuring countries' rights are respected, regardless of their size and level of economic development, as well as cooperating on shared challenges and resolving differences based on rules, norms, and international law. And such goals can be achieved more easily by creating an environment that fosters and recognises the need for social inclusion and development through community engagement at various levels. An integrated approach at the societal level can affect our larger policy goals on the global stage. So again, congratulations to all the attendees and awardees for their achievements in creating a sustainable social impact. And I think it's a well-deserved recognition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ainsworth. So we've now come to the most awaited session, which is the awards distribution ceremony. We'll just take 2 minutes to rearrange the dais. Kindly bear with us, and then we'll start with the announcements. Hello. May I request dignitaries to please come on the dais. And we begin with the announcements. We have Ms. Madhabi from Consultivo. She will do the honors.
Good afternoon, everyone. So now this is the most awaited time for award ceremony. There are 2 awards, and this is the first time, this is the first year that we are starting with the ICC Consultivo Social Impact Quiz. So first thing first, I will start with the quiz award first, and then we will move to the entire Social Impact Award ceremony. For this thing, I will request Mr. Sekat Basu to join the dais, please, from Consultivo. Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for your participation. This is the first time we have taken this initiative of scanning the QR codes and taking the pain to participate in the award. All of you will receive the participation certificate, but still considering the submission of time and the responses, we have to zoom in to some of the finalists for the award. So I will go by the appreciation awards first. First, I would like to invite Ms. Priya Kumar from Gramin Vikas Trust for winning the appreciation award for ICC Social Impact Quiz. Priya from Gramin Vikas Trust. Congratulations, Priya. Now I will request Ms. Suman Sharma from Trustee for appreciation award in ICC Consultivo Quiz. Congratulations, Suman. Please come forward. Next winner is Kirti Menon from United Way, Bengaluru. Congratulations, Kirti. Now it's time for second runners-up, Navanita Banerjee from the V Foundation. Navanita Banerjee from the V Foundation. Congratulations, Navanita. for ICC Consultivo Social Impact Quiz is Mr. Asad Umar from Aga Khan Foundation. Congratulations, sir. Please. And now it's time to announce the winner of our first initiative ICC Consultivo Social Impact Quiz. Winner is Mr. Sanjeev Goyal from ITC. Congratulations, Mr. Goyal. At this stage, before moving to the final award ceremony of our ICC Social Impact Award, I would like to announce that since few months we have taken an initiative from ICC and Consultivo for reaching out the corporates and implementing partners and helping them in conducting the baseline assessment and impact assessment. So let's start the award now. In this award, we are in the 4th year and we are involved in since the inception of the award. This year in 11 categories, we have received more than 60 applications. And those who are participating for more than 2 years, 3 years, we can see improvement in their impact assessment, in their implementation. So we want to enrich this platform not only as an award receiving platform, but to learning exchange platform, so that we are able to some way to journey towards excellence. So we are thankful to the grateful jury, Mr. Aswini Saxena, CEO JSW Foundation, Mr. Nixon Joseph, former President and CEO SBI Foundation, Dr. Shubhranshu Sannal, CEO IAM Kolkata Innovation Park, Dr. Amit Kumar Thakur, Head CSR and CSR Fellow Terry, Mr. Saikat Basu, Chief Mentor Consultivo, for sparing their valuable time and helping us in finalizing the award applicants. We would like to thank Mr. Basu and his team for helping us and partnering us in this initiative and for wholeheartedly supporting us with their knowledge, support and resources. Now let's start the award distribution ceremony. As I have mentioned, there are 11 categories, so we will go category wise. First award category is for promoting education. And in this small project category for NGO and implementing agencies, the winner is Transform Schools People for Action for their FSLP project. May I request Ms. Pankaja Balaji to come forward and receive the award. Congratulations. In the medium project category, United Way Bangalore gets a special jury recognition in their Born Learning projects. May I request Ms. Jyoti Gupta to come forward to receive the prize, please. Congratulations, ma'am. In the large project category, the runner-up is WPP Foundation for their project Education to Livelihood. May I request Ms. Garima Tandon to please come forward to receive their prize. The winner of the 4th ICC Social Impact Award in this category is Sampak Foundation. May I request Ms. Anuradha Gupta to please come forward and receive the award. Heartiest congratulations to the winners. In small enterprise category, India Carbon Limited gets a special jury recognition. May I request Mr. Sanjeev Jana to please come forward and receive the award. In the large enterprise category, Heidelberg Cement India Limited gets a special jury recognition. May I request Mr. C.S. Rathod to please come forward to receive the award. In the the mega enterprise category, the runner-up is Chambal Fertilizers for their project Disha. May I request Mr. Vikas Bhatia to please come forward and receive the prize. Congratulations. The winner of 4th ICC Social Impact Award in Mega Enterprise category is Capgemini Technology Services India Limited for their project Coding for Girls. Heartiest congratulations to Mr. Anurak Pratap as in team. Congratulations, sir. Now we will move to the next category, that is employment enhancing vocational skills. In mega enterprise category, the runner-up is Capgemini Technology Services India Limited for their project LEAP. Again, Mr. Pratap, if you can kindly come on the dais, please. The winner of 4th ICC Social Impact Award in this category is Semco Green Inform Limited for their project Kaushalya. May I request Mr. Sanjeev Kumar to please come forward to receive the award. Congratulations, Mr. Kumar. Now we will move to the next category, that is the healthcare category. In small project category for NGO and implementing agencies. In small project category of NGO and implementing agencies, Ambuja Cement Foundation Farakka unit gets the special jury recognition for their healthcare project. I would like to request Mr. Partho Sharathi Mondol to please come forward to receive the award. Please the team. Congratulations to the team. Please come forward. In the large project category, the winner of 4th ICC Social Impact Award is United Way Mumbai for their project Fight Against COVID-19. May I request Mr. Anil Parmar to please come forward to receive the award. United Way Mumbai. Congratulations, team. In large enterprise category, special jury recognition goes to SBI Foundation for their project COVID-19 relief responses. May I request Mr. Washington to please come forward to receive the award. In mega enterprise category, Balk Chhattisgarh is the runner-up for their project Nai Kiran. May I request Ms. Sonal Sharma to please come forward to receive the prize. Okay, Mr. Arun Shah from Balco. The winner of the award is Hindalco Industries Limited Renukote for their project Aragya. I would like to request Mr. Prashant Kuswaha to please come forward to receive the award. Congratulations. Congratulations to the entire team. Now we are moving to the next category, reducing child mortality and improving maternal health. In mega enterprise category, MSD for Mothers gets a special jury recognition for their project Manyata. May I request Ms. Pompi Sheddar to please come forward to receive the prize. fifth category, empowering the rural population. In small project category, NGO and implementing agencies, Gramin Vikas Trust is the winner for our fourth ICC Social Impact Award for their holistic rural development project. May I request Mr. Shiv Shankar Singh to please come forward to receive the award. Representatives of Gramin Vikas teams. The winner in the medium project category under empowering the rural population is Solidarity Regional Expertise Center for their project Trinity. Heartiest congratulations. May I request Mr. Ranjan Sarkar and Mr. Gangan Boria to please come forward to receive the award. In Mega Enterprise category, the winner of 4th ICC Social Impact Award is Balka Chhattisgarh for their project More Jal More Mati. May I request Ms. Sonal Sharma to please come forward to receive the award. I think Mr. Shah will receive the award. Yes. Yes, Mr. Shah. Congratulations. Please come forward. Now we are moving to 6th category, promoting gender equality and women empowerment. In small project category, Center for Catalyzing Change gets the special jury recognition for their integrated community development project. May I request Ms. Monalisha Bhakta to please come forward to receive the award. In the large project category, the winner of 4th ICC Social Impact Award is Ambuja Cement Foundation Shakrail Unit for their women empowerment project. May I request Mr. Devapriya Ghosh to please come forward and receive the award. Yes, Shakrail Unit. They are the continuous participating. They are since first year and they have we are really seeing a sea change. In the large enterprise category, we have joint runner-ups. May I request Ms. Gitanjali Tripathi from Tata Power Delhi Distribution Limited and Mr. Akash Jaiswal from Bridgestone India Limited to please come forward to receive their awards. Ms. Gitanjali from Tata Power Delhi Distribution Limited and Mr. Akash Jaiswal from Bridgestone India Limited. Joint runner-up, Bridgestone India Limited, Mr. Akash Jaiswal. The winner of 4th ICC Social Impact Award in this category is TRL Prosaki Refractories Limited for their project skill development. May I call upon Mr. S.K. Mishra to please come forward to receive the award. Now we are moving to the 7th category, environmental sustainability. In Mega Enterprise category, the runner-up is Sembcorp Green Infra Limited for their project Urban Waste Green Corridor Development. May I request Mr. Sanjeev Kumar to please come forward to receive the award. Under this category, environmental sustainability, the winner of the 4th ICC Social Impact Award is ITC PSPD for their project ITC WOW. May I call upon Mr. Sanjeev Goyal to please come forward. Clean water and project category for NGO and implementing agencies, the winner of 4th ICC Social Impact Award is Aga Khan Foundation. May I request Mr. Asad Umar to please come forward to receive the award. Yes. In the Mega Enterprise category, CSC Limited gets a special jury recognition for their project Nirmal Sankalp. May I request Dr. Nipa Shaha. In the category of eradicating hunger and poverty, in medium project category for NGO and implementing agencies, Action for Social Advancements gets a special jury recognition. May I request Mr. P.K. Mayura to please come forward and receive the prize. Action for Social Advancements. In the large project category, Feeding India by Zomato gets a special jury recognition for their project Daily Feeding Program. May I request Ms. Meeta Sharma to please come forward to receive the award. In SME category, UAL Industries Limited gets a special jury recognition for their project Jivardhana. May I request Mr. KNP Sinha to please come forward and receive the award. In Mega Enterprise category, the winner of 4th ICC Social Impact Award is Hindalco Industries Limited, Renuport, for their project Unnati. May I call upon Mr. Prashant Kuswaha to please come forward to receive the award. Congratulations, Hindalco team. In small project category, Indian Tea Association is the runner-up for their project Improving Lives in Tea Plantations of Assam. May I request ITA team to please come forward to receive the award. Congratulations, ITA team. The winner in this category is Ambuja Cement Foundation Farakka unit for their project Improving Livelihood. May I request Mr. Parthasarathi Mondol to please come forward and receive the award. In the medium project category, the runner-up is Trusty Sustainable Tea Foundation for their project Sustainability in Tea Sector. May I request Mr. Rajesh Bua and team to please come forward to receive the award. Runner-up Trusty Sustainability Foundation. Congratulations, team. The winner in this category is Anudip Foundation for their project Digital Livelihood. May I request Ms. Maunita Ghosh to please come forward to receive the award. Maunita from Anudip? Yeah, congratulations. In the large project category, the runner-up is Plan India. May I request Mr. Tushar Kanti Das to please come forward and receive the award. The winner of 4th ICC Social Impact Award in this category is Gramin Vikas Trust for their project Farmers Income Enhancement. May I request Mr. Shiv Shankar Singh to please come forward to receive the award. Gramin Vikas team, congratulations, please come forward. Now we would like to give the special appreciation certificates. In the category of promoting education, the certificate goes to Transform Schools People for Action MKP project. Representative of Transform School MKP project. Next appreciation certificate goes to Ultratech Cements Limited, Unit Birla White. appreciation goes to SBI General Insurance Company Limited. Representative from SBI General Insurance. For employment enhancing vocational skills, may I call upon Bridgestone India Private Limited to receive their certificate. Representatives of Bridgestone India Private Limited. For healthcare category, the certificate goes to UAL Industries Limited. In the healthcare category, certificate goes to Birla Corporation Limited, Unit Raebareli Cement Works, but they are not present today. For others category, may I request Feeding India by Zomato to please come forward to receive the certificate. This brings us to the end of award ceremony. I would like to most earnestly thank our honorable dignitaries for gracing the occasion today and for encouraging the participants and all award applicants and recipients for the 4th ICC Social Impact Award. Our sincere gratitude to all the jury members for sparing their most valuable time to pick up the best from the best. We look forward to your continued motivation and support for ICC for our initiatives. We have learned from you, and continual engagement with you would help us in further enhancing our knowledge and fruitful engagement with our stakeholders. Thank you so much. Thanks for your participation, and the guests wish you a very fruitful and engaging year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhavi. May I request Mr. Sanjay Budhia to also honor our honorable dignitaries with a memento. Ms. Rowan Answorth. Mr. Nakamura Yukata. And Dr. Sen. I request Dr. Kane Sen to please deliver the vote of thanks. You may kindly take your seats. Yeah.
Namaskar. Very good afternoon to all of you. I understand the energy in this room is very high with positive deeds all of you have done. So it's my privilege and honor to propose the formal vote of thanks on behalf of Indian Chamber of Commerce and my own behalf at the end of this engaging and enriching session. I would like to thank all the participants at the beginning, but at the same time, I would also wholeheartedly thank Dr. Viva Dhawan, who participated remotely, Director General of TERI, and her entire team at TERI for supporting us in this important initiative. The MOU signed between ICC and TERI for setting up the Center of Excellence in CSR and Sustainability is a very well-timed initiative and can be the right platform for many important initiatives both in CSR and sustainability, given the SDG and ESG importance which is coming forward. We look forward to a long-term relationship with TERI and would look forward to working closely to further the social cause in our country. My sincere thanks to Ms. Rowan Ainsworth, Consul General, Australian Consulate General, Ms. Nick Lowe, who has just left British Deputy High Commissioner, and Mr. Nakamura Utaka, Consul General, Japanese Consulate General, for your kind presence today. deliberated in detail about the initiatives which we could take and which has been taken in a global scenario. And I think it would definitely motivate the team, motivate all of us to guide and take us forward in the right direction. We look forward to make engaging and interesting sessions throughout our future initiatives. I would also like to immensely thank the knowledge partner for their unstinted support in joining hands with ICC deliver event in a nice manner. I think the session has successfully captured the current scenario of the Indian CSR space, and now latest initiatives and amendments are working towards the benefit of corporate and the social in India amid one of the worst global climate situation in history. Since the onset of COVID-19, the healthcare sector has undergone huge stress all over the world, and the Indian healthcare system has also suffered setbacks. Amid this situation, beyond healthcare professionals and the government, social sector workers and NGOs have come forward in a big way toward the welfare of the Indian society. Not only this, even the corporate sector has also pumped up funds in their CSR activities despite the budget constraints that were marred by lockdowns and supply chain disruptions. Government of India brought a number of amendments that parked up CSR funding and aided the social sector significantly. I would like to heartily congratulate all the winners of the 4th ICC Social Impact Awards this year. The competition has been tough and the assessment had been tougher. The winners were adjudged after minute deliberations of each and every application by the jury board. I am happy to see that the competition has reached a high level and has become very intense. I would like to therefore congratulate all participants and would look forward to a greater intensity in the competition in future editions. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've come to the end of the event. Thank you all the honorable dignitaries. Kindly join us for lunch. And thank you all the delegates, all the participants. We look forward to having you back in our next edition. So have a nice day. Please have lunch.